The following is a webinar on using GMX to buy titles and sell titles. So first, as a brief introduction, GMX is not just a marketing tool, but it's also a tool to drive sales. If you are a program distributor, you can use GMX to increase the number of titles that you sell. You can reach new buyers worldwide, in between markets. If you are a content buyer, you can use GMX to supplement the shopping that you do at markets with year-round, 24-hour-a-day content acquisition. And this is a brief description of how you can use GMX to do that. One thing we'd like to mention is that your first transaction using the GMX transaction tool is free. Thereafter, there is a success fee for using the transaction tool, and that is paid by the seller, and for the buyer, it is always free. So let's jump right into the website, and here we are logged in to gmxmarket.com. So what we're seeing here is the page that we land on once we have logged in with our account, and we're looking at titles. And let's move ahead to the phase where we have already found a title that we're interested in. So say, for example, it is Rock of Ages. And we've already played the trailer, we've already determined this is something that we want to acquire. So in this case, what we would do is we could choose to contact the seller and ask questions about the title, about the availability of the title, for example. But let's skip ahead even further and say that we are ready to put in an offer on this title. And let's click Deal. And here it will prompt you, it will say Add to Deal. And here you have a choice. You can either add to an existing deal that you've already made, or you can create a new deal and add it into that new deal. And so let's create a new deal, and I'll explain in a moment what I mean by these things. So let's call this the Summer Acquisition Package, and click Add. So what have we done here? The deal is like a folder, and it's a folder into which you can slide all titles that you're interested in. You can only put in titles into the deal folder specific to the same company, because the reason why is at the end of this we're going to draft a contract with this company, so we can't have titles from different companies in the same deal. And in fact, if we went and we tried to add a title from a different company into a deal folder, it would tell us this is a title from a different company than the deal folder is created for. So let's go to this particular seller and see if there are any other titles from this seller which we want to add. And so here's one. We could simply click Deal, and we could choose the folder that we've created here, Summer Acquisition Package. And we can add it. And here's another title. We could click Deal, and we could add this to the Summer Acquisition Package as well. So when we're done adding titles for this particular seller, what we could do is we can go up all the way up here to My GMX to My Deals. And when you click on My Deals, you have the list of all those deal folders you created. Now, of course, you can't add different titles from different companies into the same folder, but when you find a variety of titles that you like, you'll start creating a folder for each company and putting into those titles the titles which you want from that company. So let's go to this Summer Acquisitions Package that we created, and what you're looking at here is the deal folder. This is the folder into which we've dropped all of these titles, and here they are. And now here's the company that is selling it, and in this case it's a demo company that we've set up, because in a moment we're going to log in as the seller and then handle it from the seller side. What we need to do first is make sure that we add a contact. We can't leave that blank. We click on this to add a contact, and it will pull up the contacts at the company. And here there's only one. It's very easy. So we click that contact, and then the contact is there as well as the titles. Now what we can do is we can click Create Memo, and what we're doing is we're going to create the offer that we make this seller for all those titles. So what we're jumping into now is called the Deal Wizard. There are 10 steps. It is an online contract tool which basically helps us through all the business terms of a contract for the offer that we're going to make over to the seller. So we can call this whatever we want to. Let's call it the initial offer. And there are some resources on this first step just to point out. There's a glossary of terms. Every time you see a blue triangle like this, it's something that you can click and open. So here's a glossary of terms, and we can just mouse over any of these to read what these terms mean. And this can be a reference for us. So let's move on to the next step. We click Save and Continue. And now this step merely verifies who the parties are. So in this case, we are the one buying, so we are the licensee, and this is our information. We can change it if we need to. For example, we see, okay, nope, that's not my country. And here is the seller, whose information is already pre-populated for us. So we click Continue there. Then we will go to the license content. Now, what this allows you to do is you can choose to add those titles that you dropped in your folder, which means that you don't have to choose to make an initial offer on all of them. You can save some sort of in your hip pocket, perhaps for a counter offer. So here in this case, we'll just include all of them. Now let's go on to step 4, and it will say, okay, what type of media are we licensing? So what platform? Let's say we're licensing pay television. We're looking for an exclusive license. Do we want a holdback? What is a holdback? If we click on Explain This, the definition will fold out. Now let's click on what format we want to license. Let's click on what form of transmission, and in this case we are a digital terrestrial platform. So now we're done with this step. Now we need to select the territory that we're licensing for. Let's say that we are a channel in France. So we can click France and French-speaking territories. Now when you click on any one of these territories, this is actually a fold-out of all the territories within this group. So France and French-speaking territories is a big group. And what we can do is we can select, actually, we are just in France. So let's just uncheck this altogether. And let's just check France. Now, what will happen is everything that we select on this list will then appear at the bottom, and we can add some detail about the exclusivity and the dubs and the subtitles within this country. So we want this exclusive for France. We would like to ask that they include a dub in here. Let's see if they have French. Now sometimes we don't know. Maybe we don't know if the seller has a dub or has a subtitle, and we don't want to go back and forth on a bunch of questions. What you can do is you can merely send an offer over requesting the dub or the subtitle, and if they don't have it, they can just correct it in the counteroffer. So don't worry about trying to get everything right. You know, it's always best to just lead out, get the ball rolling with something, and here that's what we're doing. And we can even add an additional note. Subtitles are okay if no dub available. Okay, so now what period are we going to license this for? Is the license period the same for all titles? Well, we could click no, and then we could actually specify it by titles, but just for now I'll say they're the same, and we want a period that starts with a fixed date. This is a summer package we're licensing for, so let's license it starting in June, and let's license it just for a 3-month window. And in this case, we want unlimited runs, but we could specify how many runs in terms of exhibition days or exhibitions per day, and if we need any kind of explanations, we have this fold out to explain it. So now in terms of the license fee, here we are just going to do a flat fee deal, though there is the capability within here to do royalty and rev share, and that is an option for some of the other platforms. In this case, we're just doing a 10,000 euro licensing deal just for these 3 titles for 3 months.